Hello and welcome to another little box of knitting and another series of technique videos to support it. And these videos are a bit odd for me because they are to support the Roxbury tea set, which is a design by me, and this hasn't happened before, so I'm a little bit nervous, but hopefully you'll like it and we'll go through it together and have a look at some of the techniques involved. The main technique involved in all the little bits and bobs in the set, so the tea cosy and the coasters and the pot mat, is double knitting. And I've just got a little piece of double knitting here that I've been using throughout the videos to sort of demonstrate some bits and bobs. And what you will see, it's only a short piece, don't worry about the cast on, and that will cover all of that through the videos. But I just wanted to show you the actual sort of double knitting in progress, if you like. This piece is worked in the round, so you can see it's all joined. But what you can see is on this side, which I'm calling my right side, or the right side, which is the zinnia colour, that lovely orange colour, you can very clearly see the knit stitches. And if I turn everything over so you can see the reverse side, in oh gosh, I forgot how awful these needles are. These are not the needles you'll be getting. They've tormented me throughout. On the reverse side you will see the avocado, and you will see it is also showing as a knit. So that's it really in a nutshell, isn't it? If you turned that over you would expect to see a pearl zinnia side, but what you've actually got is another kind of right side in avocado. So what you're creating in effect is a double fabric. Now if I just show you another piece of my sort of practice fabric here, this has come off needles. I was doing a what was I doing here, just like a sort of centerpiece kind of thing I thought I'd have a go at, but I've taken it off the needles to show you, and you'll see, you can sort of see, you know what it looks like when you take knitting off of needles. You can see all the stitches there. But what you will clearly see is I can open that out to a certain degree. So if that was on the needles, this would be the front side that you'd be seeing here, and there's the reverse side, or vice versa, it really doesn't matter. And as I say, you can see knit, lovely knit stitches, no purl bumps there, lovely knit stitches, purl bumps there. And if I open out those stitches, so the needle, they would be held on the needles like that. If you were to be able to see down between, you can see the reverse sides of both pieces there, and they're sandwiched together, and all of the yarn kind of goes down between the two. It's really, really clever. So you create this double thickness fabric, which of course lends itself beautifully to teapots and tea cozies and whatnot. Well, tea cozies, not teapots, that's a different story. So how it's done is, like I said, you can see, if I hold this up really close, you can see the zinnia stitches, but you can also see those avocado stitches poking through as well. So all the stitches are held on the needle at once and worked at the same time. And I'm just going to show you very briefly an overview of how double knitting is worked, sort of in the standard general way. This is once you've done all your cast on, joining that, all that kind of stuff. And again, please don't worry about it, we'll cover it all off. But the general double knitting technique is as follows. Every single stitch, I'm sorry, I'm just going to bring this one forward because I haven't, this is not a good place to start, so just bear with me 1 second. Every single stitch has a partner. Okay, so if I look at the next stitch to be worked on my right needle, it is this zinnia knit stitch, and that doesn't seem to be too scary. We know how to knit a stitch, and that's fine. But just following along just behind where I'm pointing with my needle here is a little avocado purl stitch, and that is the partner stitch to this stitch here. Everything you will work in pairs. If you work one, you've got to work another. And the general rule, well, the always rule, I think, is if you're working a knit, you will then work a purl. If you're working a knit, you'll then work a purl. And in this particular design, it's basically very much, almost always, if you're working zinnia, you will then work, in this case, avocado. So if you're working one colour, you'll then work the opposite colour. That will become clear as you go along, but let me just show you what I mean here. The most important thing for the technique is that the yarns have to travel together as well. You need to be thinking of all of this, like the yarns and the stitches themselves, as sort of twins or pairs or partners. They don't go anywhere without each other. So with my yarns held at the back, I'm going to work that knit stitch, but I'm only going to work it with the colour I want to use, and that is the zinnia here. So I've worked my knit stitch there in zinnia. You can see that's worked onto the right needle, but its little pearl partner is still over here on the left, and what I need to do is work that one now. So I'm going to, as it's a pearl, we need to have our yarns at the front, and you will notice I've brought both yarns to the front there. Okay, so I'm going to purl the little pearl partner just with the appropriate colour, which in this case is the avocado. Okay, so that is one set of stitches, or one stitch worked, and that, I'll do another one. That is the technique of double knitting. That is how it's always going to work. You must travel those yarns together backwards and forwards for each stitch and for its pearl partner. If you don't travel those yarns back and forwards, you do get little loops across the back of the work, which can be corrected, but that isn't sort of how that needs to look. You need to be working like that in order for it to do its job, really. So as I said, don't worry too much about this, because we're going to have technique videos, just an absolute raft of technique videos to help you through each and every stage of this. But I just want to give you an overview. So that is generally how double knitting works. You're working a stitch and its pearl partner to create this double-sided work, which is okay, isn't it? You know, we've just done a few there, nothing too difficult at all. If you can knit and purl, you can do this very, very easily. So that is an overview of the technique, of the sort of fabric it produces, and obviously we've just made things even more exciting as we've worked through by putting things like spots or other designs on the bits and bobs that we're going to be knitting. So again, don't worry, we'll cover that all off, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the technique itself. I'm going to be using different needles and stuff throughout the video, because I was working on this as I went, really, before we'd even decided what size needles and what sort of needles we needed. So don't worry, what you've got in your box, those gorgeous bamboo needles, are perfect, and they were being made as I was making these videos, so that's lovely. If you feel that you'd like to, and you're a bit concerned, because we've got charts to look at as well, so there's a lot of techniques in here which are all perfectly achievable and all in their kind of individual ways you'll be able to use in other knitting projects. You've got I-cords in there and reading charts and that kind of thing. There's lots of things that you'll use in lots of different projects, not just exclusive to double knitting, so that is nice. But if you feel that you'd like to have a little practice, and I wouldn't blame you in the least, I did a lot of practice before I did this, I would suggest you work a sort of flat piece, and you could make a plain coaster. And I would suggest you use the mineral yarn, which is the lovely, let me see if I've got it here, yellowy colour, yellow yarn, and zinnia, because those are the two that will have most of, you use zinnia and avocado a lot on your tea cozy, which of course is the star of the piece. So do your practice with mineral and zinnia, because you'll have enough of those guys left over to have a little play with. Obviously, if you're going to do a practice piece first and it's a coaster, it's going to be worked flat, and that's absolutely fine, because what happens if you're working flat, I'm working in the round here, so you know, working in the round, I'm going to be going round and round and round, and I'm always going to be seeing that, if in this case this zinnia colour. But if I was working backwards and forwards and had to turn my work, I'm then going to be seeing the avocado colour on the way back. Well, that's absolutely fine, because all that happens is this. Let me show you. pretend I've got to the end of the row, okay, ignore that I've just slipped that because that's not how it's going to be, but pretend I've got to the end of the row and I'm now working back the other way. Well, I'm still working a knit stitch, can you see, but this time it is a knit avocado stitch. So all I'll do this time is knit with the avocado with both yarns at the back and purl with the zinnia. So what I do like about this technique is it sort of guides you, because whatever you're looking at, that's what you're going to be knitting, and the little purl partners help you out as well. So a lot of it, if there's no design on it, this is why I suggest you start with a plain piece. If there's no design, you just follow the lead of what's gone before and plonk that same colour on top of it. Okay, so as I said, if you feel you want to practice, start with a plain coaster in mineral and zinnia. Then maybe go on to your tea cozy. We'll be working in the round, and then some other techniques in there as well. And then finish up with your pot stand and coasters. And of course you can make your own coaster designs, and we'd love to see some of those. So that's a brief overview. I'm sorry it's so wordy. There's a lot to learn in here, so there'll be a lot of videos. I really hope you like the design, and thanks for coming along to listen.